Learning vocabulary in English is not as hard as it may seem. In fact, it's one of the most exciting parts of learning the language. Once you find the right techniques, building your vocabulary can become an easy and even fun task. But how exactly do you make vocabulary learning so easy? Let's break it down. First of all, think of vocabulary as a tool. Just like any tool, if you use it often, it becomes easier to handle. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. The key is to make vocabulary learning a daily habit. Whether you're learning new words, reviewing old ones, or practicing how to use them in sentences, repetition is crucial. Even a few minutes every day can make a huge difference over time. One simple technique to make learning vocabulary easy is through context. Instead of memorizing words in isolation, try to learn them in sentences or phrases. When you see how a word is used in context, it becomes much easier to remember. For example, instead of just learning the word happy, you could learn, I feel happy when I spend time with my friends. This way, you associate the word with a specific situation, making it more meaningful and memorable. Another great way to make vocabulary easier is to connect words to images. Visual memory is powerful. So when you learn a new word, try to create a mental picture. For instance, when you learn the word dog, picture a dog in your mind. The more vivid the image, the easier it will be to recall the word later. You can even draw pictures or use apps that show pictures, along with words to reinforce this connection. Flashcards are another fantastic tool for learning vocabulary. They're simple, portable, and effective. You can create your own flashcards or use digital apps like Anki, Quizlet, or Memrise. The idea behind flashcards is simple. You write the word on one side and the meaning, or an example sentence, on the other side. Review them regularly to reinforce your memory. You'll be surprised how quickly you can memorize new words when you use flashcards consistently. However, don't just use flashcards for memorization. Make them interactive. Instead of just looking at the word and meaning, try creating sentences or short stories with the new words. This way, you practice not only vocabulary, but also grammar and sentence structure. This active learning method helps you understand the word's full meaning and how it fits into conversations. Word families are another way to expand your vocabulary easily. Many words in English come from the same root. For example, the word create has related words like creation, creative, and creativity. Learning these related words together helps you build your vocabulary in a more organized way. By recognizing the common root, you can guess the meaning of other words in the same family, making it easier to understand and remember them. One of the easiest and most enjoyable ways to learn vocabulary is through reading. The more you read in English, the more words you will come across. You don't have to start with complex novels. Even short stories, articles, or blogs are great. Choose reading material that interests you so that you're motivated to keep going. As you read, underline or highlight new words. Look them up and write them down in a notebook. Later, try using them in your own sentences. The key here is to expose yourself to new vocabulary and context, which will help you remember it more easily. You can also learn vocabulary through listening. Listen to podcasts, watch TV shows, or listen to music in English. This will expose you to how native speakers use the language in everyday conversations. As you listen, pay attention to words and phrases that are unfamiliar to you. Write them down, look them up, and then try to use them in your own conversations. Repetition is key here as well. So the more you hear certain words, the easier it will be to remember and use them. Don't forget the power of speaking. Speaking is one of the best ways to make vocabulary stick. Even if you don't have someone to speak with, try speaking out loud to yourself. Describe what you're doing or talk about your day using the new words you've learned. This will help reinforce the vocabulary by putting it into action. You can also try language exchange, where you practice speaking with a native speaker or another learner. Websites and apps like HelloTalk or Tandem can connect you with people to practice English with. Another technique to make vocabulary learning easy is to group words by themes. Instead of learning random words, group them into categories such as food, travel, family, or work. This helps you learn related words together, making it easier to remember them and use them in context. For example, when you learn the word restaurant, you can also learn related words like menu, waiter, order, table, and bill. This theme-based learning makes vocabulary more organized and easier to recall. To make vocabulary even easier, try learning in short bursts. Instead of spending hours memorizing words, dedicate just 10 to 15 minutes a few times a day. Short, focused study sessions are much more effective than long, tiring ones. It's better to study a little every day than to cram all at once. This helps you retain the words better and prevents burnout. If you prefer a more creative approach, try using the words in your own artwork or stories. For example, if you're learning adjectives like big, small, fast, and slow, you can draw pictures of things that fit those descriptions, or you can write short stories or dialogues using those words. This adds a fun, creative twist to learning vocabulary while helping you remember the words more effectively. It's also important to review regularly. Vocabulary learning isn't just about learning new words. It's about keeping those words fresh in your memory. Set aside time to review what you've learned every week. Go over your flashcards, read your notes, and practice speaking using the words. The more often you review, the less likely you are to forget the words you've learned. Finally, stay motivated. Vocabulary learning becomes easier when you see progress. Celebrate the small victories, like remembering a new word or being able to use a word in a conversation. These achievements will keep you motivated to keep learning. And remember, learning vocabulary is a journey, not a race. Be patient with yourself and enjoy the process. Vocabulary learning is an ongoing process, and it's important to remember that there's no need to rush. One of the biggest obstacles that learners face is frustration, especially when they feel like they're not making progress fast enough. That's why patience is essential. It can take time for words to really stick, but with consistent effort, your vocabulary will gradually grow. Don't expect to learn every word in one day or even in 1 month. Learning is a marathon, not a sprint. In fact, sometimes the words that stick the most are the ones that you learn slowly, over time. You might need to hear them multiple times before they really start to sink in. The beauty of learning vocabulary in context is that, with repetition, these words become second nature. You'll start to recognize them in books, movies, songs, and conversations. This makes learning vocabulary more enjoyable as you start to see the results of your hard work. Celebrate your progress, even the small wins. For example, if you've learned 10 new words this week, give yourself a little pat on the back. If you can use those words in a conversation, that's a huge achievement. It shows that you're moving beyond just memorizing words and are actually using them in a practical, meaningful way. Celebrate those moments of success to keep the momentum going. Set realistic goals for yourself. It's easy to get discouraged if you set goals that are too ambitious. Instead of aiming to learn 100 words in a week, set more achievable targets, like 20 words over a couple of weeks. You'll feel more motivated when you can check off those goals and see your progress. You might even surprise yourself by exceeding your goals, which can boost your confidence and keep you motivated. Another tip is to track your progress. Keeping a vocabulary journal or using apps that track your learning can help you see how far you've come. Write down the new words you've learned, review them periodically, and track your improvement. When you look back at how much you've learned, it can really boost your motivation to continue. Learning vocabulary isn't just about memorization. It's about understanding how words fit into sentences and conversations. It's about making the language your own. Use the words in real-life situations as much as you can. This helps solidify your understanding of the word and improves your fluency. For example, if you've learned a new word related to food, try using it the next time you talk about your favorite meal, or try cooking something new. The more you actively use new vocabulary, the easier it will be to remember it. Create connections between new words and things you already know. For example, if you've learned the word unpredictable, You might connect it with a situation you've experienced that was unexpected. This connection helps reinforce the word's meaning and makes it easier to recall in the future. You can also associate new words with your own experiences, feelings, or other languages you know, creating a web of knowledge that helps you remember more. You can also use social media to practice vocabulary in a fun way. Platforms like Twitter, Instagram, or even YouTube are great for learning and practicing new words. You can follow accounts that post in English, engage with posts, or write comments in English. This not only exposes you to new vocabulary, but also helps you practice using it in context. This podcast is enough, guys. Subscribe,